Now, in early 2015, the story of three schoolgirls from London's Bethnal Green Academy who ran away from home to join ISIS in Syria made global headlines. Shamima Begum, Khadija Sultana, and Amira Abbas were all minors at the time. While two of the girls have since died, Begum, now 23, is the sole survivor. She's been held in a detention camp in Syria since the fall of the Islamic State group's so-called caliphate. In 2019, Sajid Javid, Britain's then Home Secretary, took the unprecedented step and stripped Shamima Begum, who was born in the UK, of her British nationality. Now, revelations in a new book titled The Secret History of the Five Eyes, which cites Western intel sources who say a people smuggler working for Canadian intelligence was involved in the trafficking of the girls. We can now bring in Tasnime Akunjee, lawyer for the Begum family, who joins us from London. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. How do these new revelations affect your case?
Well, the situation with Begum is that she has an appeal coming up at the SIAC courts in November. The long and the short of it is that the arguments around her being a victim of trafficking are going to be diced out over there. And what this does is it shows and confirms that not only was she the victim of trafficking, she was the victim of trafficking at the hands of the Canadian security services. So that lends a lot more credence to the fact that she has less culpability for the fact that she moved over a border or two borders from the UK to Turkey and Turkey into Syria. Now, we want the court to look at this and to judge Shazia Javed's decision in light of this, which is, was it proportional, if he knew about these matters, to still strip her of citizenship when in fact Western security services were the very people who were engaged in the activity, and it's very much criminal activity, of trafficking her into the terrorist hands.
Because what has Britain done for other nationals who have gone to Syria or Iraq to join the Islamic State group, which and now are in prison there? Has other people been stripped of their citizenship?
So to date, about 100 plus people in the context of the Syrian conflict have been stripped of citizenship. However, Shamima's situation tends to be somewhat unusual. We have a very, let's say, disjointed approach to people who've gone over to Syria and returned. Prior to Shamima being stripped, there were some 400 people, some of which are men, and Sajid Javed himself admitted that some of these people who have returned, these 400 who have returned, are not, of the lowest category of danger or risk. So, and since Shamima Begum has been stripped, there have been children and also another woman who's suffered injuries out there in similar sort of age to Shamima, who have actually been repatriated to the UK. So we don't have a consistent approach, it seems, to this. And Shamima Begum's case itself seems to have been uniquely targeted by Sajid Javed back in 2019 in an unusual move.
Why was it uniquely targeted, in your opinion, by the former Home Secretary? Do you think he wanted to make an example of her?
I think, well, our view is that at the time, the Home Secretary was himself engaged in a leadership battle to try and take the leadership role in the Conservative Party and become Prime Minister. And as part of that, this was an issue that was on his table, and he very much stripped her of her citizenship in a very spectacular way, with a great fanfare on the news media. So we believe that this was done purely for his political career aspirations.
Now, these new revelations in this book could help Shamima Begum, we're not sure, given that she was a minor and was trafficked to Syria with the help of a Western intelligence asset. But at the same time, she did answer the call for jihad. Does she have any regrets?
Well, as you may have seen in the last couple of years, Shamima Begum has clearly shown a great deal of remorse. She's even offered herself up as an asset, I guess, to the UK state to impart her story and whatever knowledge she has, in the hope that she can dissuade other young people from answering such a siren call in the future.
When was the last time you met Shamima Begum in person?
I've never met her in person. I tried to go over to see her in Al Roj camp back in 2019. However, the Kurdish forces did not deign fit for her to have any access to lawyers, and she's never actually met a lawyer. She has obviously had access to journalists, but for some reason, the Kurdish control camps don't allow lawyers to meet their actual clients.
And because she's no longer a British citizen, she's not granted due process.
No, she is being granted due process. Her citizenship has been taken away by dint of an operation of a law by a UK politician. So in order to give effect to her appeal rights on that decision, she's been given due process along those lines. The problem is that she's in Syria, held by a rebel group, and there is no jurisdiction of the UK law over her in that situation. So the rebel group can do as they please, and there's not much we can do about that.
And what about Shamima's family? Do they have contact with her? Have they been to see her recently?
They haven't been to see her. As I say, no one has seen her apart from journalists. They do have very sporadic contact with her, but it's not planned. It happens once or twice every few months, and it's for a very short period of time.
And what are they hoping will happen with these new revelations? What does the family want to see happen?
Well, they're hoping that not just these revelations, but more questions around whether the UK security services were aware of this or even had a hand in this with the Canadians will come out in the process of this appeal. That evidence may well never see the light of day, but we're hoping that at least if a court sees it, they can adjudicate on that fairly, and we hope that the right decision that they come to is that the appeal is successful and she's returned home.
Have you started the process of, trying to get her, make an appeal, a case to get her citizenship back with the new Home Secretary?
So the appeal process was started long ago, long before these revelations. And these new revelations will just add weight to the existing legal arguments that are already deployed.
Tasnime Akunjee, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
My pleasure.